What's up, guys? So it's been a little bit since I've made a video. The last video was me doing a little bit of painting on here. I did get it painted. I'm not happy with it like the previous paint job. You know, of course, before I had all these plastics off and had them sanded and painted it up real nice, and I was actually super happy with it. It all matched it. It was all glossy like this fender and like the mirrors were. Well, this time I was kind of not looking forward to taking all this off and painting it again. So I wanted to kind of just tape the whole bike off and paint the parts. Well, I did that, but you know, of course it's never going to look as good apparently till you take it all off and resand it. It's always iffy when you're using spray cans anyway, as what your finish is going to turn out to be. But they always say with spray cans you want to do a whole lot of prep work, because it's always in your prep work of what your paint's going to look like. But you can kind of see it's kind of dull, and over here is glossy where the old paint was. The original mirror is glossy. This one's a little bit duller. I mean, it's not the best, but for now that's all I'm going to do, because I'm still debating on turning this into a naked bike, and if I don't, then I'm probably going to just repaint it sometime this summer while it's warm out, because I definitely don't want to be painting again in the winter, because I don't have a paint booth, and it's a lot harder to keep it at the right temperature. So anyway, on to the reason of the crash. It was mainly the lever here. Let me lock this steering. I guess I don't got the key. Anyway, I'll kind of take this lever off in a minute and show you what happened. But the main thing, the problem was, I can get the other lever here. So this is the original lever here. This is an OEM replacement lever. It's pretty much just like a stock SV lever. Pretty much you can see this little cutout here. That little notch there is for your brake light switch. And turns out when I replaced it, I didn't think to look at the Chinese one. We thought about the pressure on it, and we knew it was going to have more pressure here and pushing on that, so we shaved that down a bit. And that, of course, that was without that switch on there since I was rebuilding this. So I went ahead and shaved that down, put the switch back on with the lever on there, and didn't realize it, and went and rode again. Well, brakes started getting hot and locking up again. They didn't lock up, of course, because I knew the feeling of it this time and was able to pull over. But the Chinese levers do not have that notch right there. You know, I'll take this off real quick and show you, just so you can see what I'm talking about here. Get a flathead here, and I think that was a 10 underneath there for the nut. I'm just going to pause it here and take this lever off, then I can show you. Alright, so here's the Chinese one. As you can see, before I did this here, see if I can get it to focus. Before I did this here, that was all flat across just like that. Did not have that notch. And that's the problem. Like I said, we had shaved this a little bit because it seemed a little bit thicker there than the original lever. So we shaved that, and then we went ahead and did this time after the second lockup that way, because we were 100% sure it was the lever after that, because we rebuilt this and rebuilt the calipers. At that point we were 100% sure, and you can see here, there's the switch right here, and that's what pushes on these. So anybody that gets these levers, I recommend 100% that you do that, or you will have problems, because see, that switch was pushing it out more than this, and that was pushing on this cylinder just enough. I mean, it wasn't even barely pushing on it, but I mean, just that little bit of pressure, you know, on a good functioning braking system is enough to barely touch the discs. And that in turn is going to cause your brake fluid to heat up from the friction, and when that happens, your brake fluid is going to lose consistency, and it's going to expand just enough to tighten your brakes on. So that's the problem. So if you get these levers, make sure you notch that, especially if you're using an OEM bracket like I am. So you can kind of, it should have been something I noticed, but really you just don't think about it. So you can kind of see they're notched now, and they match. So that's the problem. So definitely make sure you fix these before you even try to use them. Anyways, other than that, I've put some new turn signals on. Of course, my other ones broke, so I went ahead and got 4 matching ones. These are just black back turn signals with smoked amber lenses. Well, they're not amber. The bulb in them's amber, of course, for your turning, and that's just a smoked lens. They are pretty bright. Shouldn't have any problem at night seeing them, like a lot of people say. You know, smoked ones you can't see at night. Of course, my brake light on this one's smoked, and you can see it quite well. Anyways, other than that, kind of had a lot going on this week while waiting for parts for the caliper rebuilds. Pretty much while my bike was parked, my buddy's chain went out on his, and he's got an SV99. I went ahead and donated my, well, not really donated, but you know, he's buying them. But I took my I had one ride on my chain and sprockets, and maybe, you know, probably a mile or 2 total just through town, enough before I laid it down, you know, when the brakes locked up. So he went ahead and bought my chain and sprockets because he was going to be down for a week waiting, you know, possibly 2 weeks depending on when he ordered it. So he went ahead and bought mine, and I went ahead and ordered another kit because I was just going to ride. I just rode that bike in the meantime, so he wouldn't have had a bike to ride in the meantime. So I went ahead and donated those so he could ride still. But anyway, got the new chain and sprockets on. And I've got another part I'm going to be fixing up. I've actually won this on eBay just as the lowest reserve, you know. And this is a rear hugger for the SVs, and pretty much it's going to replace this chain guard. You know, of course, there you get the chain guard, and then of course you get the hugger look. And pretty much it's not perfect. It's really it's pretty darn good for a part that you can hardly buy anymore. At least an original. Normally you have to order these as a aftermarket. It's just got a little crack there, and somebody put vinyl on it, just a vinyl covering, which I'm going to take that off and fix this, because this is all fiberglass anyway. And I'm going to take it off and fix that crack on it and paint this whole thing up and put it on. That's my next task, actually, since the bike's now finally done, now that the brakes are fixed and whatnot. Besides repainting everything, which I'm not going to do anytime soon. But this is going to be going on pretty quick, like, because those look really good on these SVs, really good. But it'll pretty much bolt on to 2 bolts there, remove the mud flap, bolt that bolt on the other side. I think is a brake line right there that bolts onto. So that should look pretty good. Other than that, it's just been a pretty busy couple of weeks. I actually went down to my grandpa's, and he ended up going to the nursing home, so he's not going to be getting back out. He was a mechanic for probably upwards of 40 years, and he ended up giving me and my brother all of his tools. So we went through his tools and took all, you know, loaded them all up. At least I did. Me and my mother went down and loaded up quite a bit of stuff. So I mean, he was pretty much a craftsman man, but his son, which is my uncle, pawned probably 90% of his tools, so we got what was left. I got a ton more of, you know, miscellaneous sockets, boxes of sockets, and wrenches that are, you know, not name brand. But the stuff I did get that was name brand pretty much replaced my entire socket set. Like, every one of these is Craftsman with some Stanley mixed in. Of course, these bigger ones aren't, you know, name brand that I know of, unless they're an older. All these are Craftsman. Now I took all of my cheaper sockets out, and these are all Craftsman metric wrenches. And I mean, I had some decent stuff. I mean, I had this whole Cobalt kit, which was a pretty good kit, you know, a good warranty on those. But I pretty much replaced all my wrenches up here with Craftsman. I got tons of these little clamps, some hammers, a few hammers here and there, tons of these huge clamps, miscellaneous stuff. Like, there's some old stuff like these little vice grips, and I got a whole thing of stuff soaking in oil there, and that's just stuff that got a little bit rusty. Pretty much filled this drawer. I probably, I had one of these for just flatheads and Phillips, but now I got a whole drawer of flatheads and drawer of Phillips. A lot of these are, Craftsman, and all throughout here is Craftsman stuff. And then I got this entire drawer. So, a lot of this was mine already, but, like these wrenches here, I didn't have any of those. I got a whole set of those now, and a lot of these little wrenches and all kinds of stuff. So I'm pretty thankful for that. My grandpa didn't have anybody else in the family that really did anything in the garage, and I'm probably actually the only one. My brother really don't do anything, but I'm gonna give him some of the stuff that I went through. But a lot of this up here is all files and stuff. Tons of picks that I didn't have a lot of picks, so those are nice to have. A lot of little punches. I mean, I had one or two of these things, but now I've got just tons of it now. But I got that entire Cobalt box, and now I have an entire Craftsman box. That box is probably 98% full. It's missing, I think, the biggest ratchet and maybe probably 5 or 6 sockets that I don't have to fill it up. And these are the last ones now that I'm cleaning up that had gotten a little bit rusty, and these are all Craftsman here. So quite a bit of stuff. The only thing I was disappointed with is I got a decent just a cheapie. It's not really perfect. And this is one that my grandpa had that was left that didn't get pawned, probably because the locker was broke on it. And I figured Craftsman would have warranted this, but they don't warranty these past a year with the original receipt. This one needs recalibrated, but really without that locker it's probably useless because you have to hold it perfectly still and while you're torquing something. But it does still work, and it just actually needs calibrated. But I don't know what I'll do with it. I may throw it on eBay, and maybe somebody that calibrates that stuff will get it. But other than sockets and wrenches and other pliers, little sets like this I got. These are all Craftsman. Got a few different things up here. An auto trim set I didn't have. A few little boxes of stuff, clamps. There's a whole box of picks and little files behind there. Some different styles of tape up there. I got a bigger bolt magnet. These are what I really like. All these miscellaneous. Those got like wing nuts, cotter pins, lock nuts, just all kinds of different stuff. And I've got 4 or 5 more of those miscellaneous ones up there. A couple little oil cans. There was more than that. Those are the 2 I kept out of it. I didn't have any of these, but these are nice to have because you can just pump a little bit of oil out whenever you need it if you're doing something. I think it's just got regular motor oil in there, and it looks like used motor oil at that, so I may switch that out for some assembly lube or something cool like that. Some things like this is something that I kept, but I probably won't ever use it. But I do have a brother that does a lot of woodworking, so I don't know if these are expensive or not. I kind of doubt it, but they're all just little wood chisels that do different shapes there, and it says TWA on it. I don't know if that's just because of if that's just the case it's in. I would assume so. Yeah, I would say that's somebody just put those in there. But I got stuff everywhere. I've already got it all put away and organized for the most part of stuff I'm keeping. Like this whole box here is full of staples and about 3 different kinds of staple guns. And then I got one of these boxes here. I got a bunch of other electrical connectors and stuff up there, hose clamps, cotter pins. And I got all these grinding discs here, tons of those, so those are pretty handy. And this box here was, a pretty awesome box to get. For those of you that don't do electrical very much, this, these little fittings can cost you quite a bit when you're buying them normally. So a whole box of that was pretty good find. But I got another few different cases of, different bit drivers and stuff like that, and another one of those full of electrical stuff. Here's another torque wrench I got. I don't know if it's any good. There were actually two of these. One was broke. This is the only one that still had the pointer on it, but I don't know how accurate these things are. Probably not very. I got a couple of these chairs too. I got one of that style, which is the better Craftsman one, and then I got this. I think is just a cheapie, and I got another one that's a Goodyear racing one that's actually needing repaired. But other than that, I mean, it was pretty awesome. My grandpa to give all that to me. You know, his son's in jail, the one I was talking about that pawned all the stuff anyway, so he didn't really want him to have it all. And got a couple extra jack stands there that I'll need, of course. I use that stuff all the time. But yeah, so it'll definitely go to use here, and I'm not like looking to sell any of it or anything. So that's definitely a plus. I mean, I got a whole box of extra stuff out in the garage that I don't know what I'm going to do with. I may get rid of it, may sell a litlittle bit of it, but you know, most of the good stuff, the Craftsman, I've kept in here. Got an extra extension cord there, another whole thing of airline, a lot of other stuff I'm sure I'm forgetting, but I've got it all put away now. There's just tons and tons of stuff that I had to go over to another state over to pick up, but it'll definitely get put to use, so I think he'll be pretty happy about it. But anyway, that's about all that's been going on. Just trying to keep the garage clean. Every time I come out here, it seems like I'm having to make a mess and, you know, pick it all back up. The Craftsman tiller is still kind of sitting. That was one of my other projects. I don't know if I was going to do a video alone on it or not. I think I started some, but hadn't gotten anywhere with it since I had to go over to Illinois to pick this stuff up. So I appreciate everybody watching and wishing me well for the wreck and whatnot, even though, you know, there was pretty much nothing I can do and I didn't get hurt or anything. But as you can see, the bike's, I've already been out riding. I think I've had 2 rides on it now and rode about probably close to 80-100 miles on it so far. So I'm going to throw that lever back on there and it'll be done. But I'm just going to work on painting this, and I may do a little bit of a video on just doing a little bit of fiberglass work on that. It won't be much. Pretty much I'm just going to rough up that paint job that's already on there a little bit and spray over it, because you're really not going to see it anyway. It's underneath there. So, but one day whenever I rip all that front fairing off, I'll go back over and paint it all again. But I appreciate everybody watching and staying tuned. So have a good one.